Welcome, our dear friends who are interested in Bhakti Yoga. Today, I will describe to you the most important activities or practices in Bhakti Yoga. But before I start, I just need to connect on our Facebook page, because we will go live on Facebook page. Okay. So now we are live on our Facebook page. So welcome also all our friends on Facebook, all practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, all those of you who are interested in Bhakti Yoga and you're trying to decide if this is something for you, and also all of you who are spiritual seekers and who are just looking for something. You're trying to find a spiritual practice that will be good for you. So in the previous video last week, we discussed about what is Bhakti Yoga. And I explained very briefly what is the difference between Bhakti Yoga and other kinds of yogas, and also about the amazing results that you can achieve when you practice Bhakti Yoga. And these are the results that no other spiritual process can give you. Only Bhakti Yoga. And this is also why Bhakti Yoga is considered to be the highest and the most powerful spiritual practice. So now you're probably curious, what kind of activities do you have to do in Bhakti Yoga? So in Bhakti Yoga, there are several, actually there are 9 most important activities. But for someone who is just beginning, we will concentrate just on 5 activities, which are actually called the most potent practices of Bhakti Yoga. And why are they called the most potent practices? Because if somebody starts practicing any of this activity in a proper way, then he can achieve Bhava. What is Bhava? Bhava is actually spiritual emotion. Bhava is also a name for a stage of spiritual advancement, which is very, very elevated stage, and which is actually the result of practicing sadhana bhakti, this spiritual, regulated spiritual practice. But of course, it does not come overnight. But at the same time, Bhava also means spiritual emotion. So if you are practicing any of these 5 activities, which I will describe now in a proper way, you will experience something in your heart. You will experience some kind of emotion. And each of these activities actually will bring you closer to the Supreme Person, which is called in the Vedic literature by the name Krishna, which means the all-attractive one. He is the most beautiful, the most lovable person in existence. And each of these activities will connect you with him and also allow you to start experiencing some kind of reciprocation with him, because he immediately reciprocates with a sincere soul, with a sincere practitioner, regardless of how advanced or not advanced you are. So let's begin. 5 most important practices of Bhakti Yoga are: first is Shravanam, or hearing. And this hearing is especially focused on the transcendental sound vibration of the mantra and of the sacred literatures. So the mantra that we are hearing is the greatest mantra, known also as Hare Krishna mantra. And for those of you who are not familiar with this mantra, you can watch some, actually one video on our YouTube channel where you can find amazing things described about what is this Hare Krishna mantra all about. And then there are also several other videos on our YouTube channel which describe about the power of the spiritual sound or the transcendental sound, because the transcendental sound vibration awakens the soul, and you are the soul, you are the spiritual being. Right now, in this material life in which we are all existing right now, we are all asleep. We are asleep to our true spiritual nature and to our true spiritual life. But the sound of this mantra and also the sound of the sacred literature is awakening this true nature, the spiritual nature, and it is bringing us back to who we really are, and at the same time also connecting our consciousness with the supreme consciousness. So all this has to be experienced. So I'm speaking now about it, but you need to make your own experience to really understand what I'm speaking about. So this is Shravanam. To hear the mantra and to hear the sacred literature, and also to hear the teachers, the bona fide spiritual teachers who come in the parampara or the bona fide disciplic succession, and they discuss this sacred literature. So they are speaking about this spiritual knowledge from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Nectar of Devotion, Shishupanishad, Nectar of Instruction. These are all the most important books for practice and understanding of Bhakti Yoga. So this was the first one. Then the second practice is the Kirtanam. Kirtanam actually means to chant. And what do we chant? So one thing that we chant is the mantra. So we recite the mantra, and this is the mantra meditation. You can do your own personal meditation, which is part of our regular daily practice, which I will describe in a little bit. And you can also chant the mantra, the Hare Krishna mantra, in the company of others, of other devotees, of other practitioners of Bhakti Yoga, with musical instruments, like in a melody. It's very, very sweet, very beautiful, and very enjoyable, actually, to chant the mantra in a group, actually to sing the mantra. And so this is the second. Actually, this is the portion of the Kirtanam. The other part of the Kirtanam, it's also that you speak, that you recite this sacred literature. So you read, but you read it aloud. So not just for yourself, but also for others to hear. And then you also speak something about it after you have assimilated some of this knowledge, then you would like to share, you would be happy to speak and discuss with others. So this is Kirtanam. And then the third one is to associate with the devotees. Devotees are actually other practitioners, other bhaktas, those who practice bhakti or who are already very advanced or even perfected in the bhakti yoga. It is very important to associate with them on regular basis, actually every day. Why is it so important? Because bhakti yoga is not like practice of some other yogas, which you can do somewhere in seclusion, just on your own. Bhakti yoga really depends on grace, as I already explained before. And we need the association and the support and also blessings and mercy of other bhaktas, of other devotees. They help us, encourage us, they protect us, and we can't really do it just on our own. It is very important that you find at least one or two, or even better, a group of practitioners of bhakti yoga, and then you regularly associate. Nowadays, we are so fortunate, we can associate even online. So even if physically you don't have somebody living just next to you, you can associate through online association, and this will also help. So these were the first three. These are actually the most important activities to begin practice of bhakti yoga. And then the next two, the fourth one is to worship and serve the sacred form, the divine form, which is also named the deity. And this is something very, very amazing, because in the sacred literature, there are the explanations, the exact descriptions of how does the Supreme Person look like in his different forms, because he has many, many forms. He actually has innumerable forms. But at least a few of them that are especially recommended for us to worship, there are detailed descriptions of how do they look like. And there are actually the statues which are made according to these descriptions. And not only that, they are not just like dolls or, idols. They are actually forms made of, they can be made of stone, usually marble, or some metal, special combination of different metals, or also from wood. These are the most common materials that these forms are made from. But this is not enough. Then this form is actually, we say, it's actually, we invite the presence of the Supreme Person into this form, so that then he accepts worship and service through this form. So this is very, very much different from idol worship, because idol worship is something that is like that people worship instead of worshiping God. But the deity is actually bona fide, authentic form of the Supreme, of the Divine Lord, and is actually, he is present in this form personally, and he accepts the service and worship. So how is this so? Again, it's very mystical. And I can explain a few things, but you need your own experience to really understand this. I can tell you from my personal experience, I have been worshiping the forms of the Lord for the past 30 years in different temples. And now I also have my own deities that I worship daily. And when you do this, when you serve and worship the divine form of the Lord, he reciprocates in amazing ways. And you understand that he is there, that he is present. He is answering your prayers. He is reciprocating with your devotion, with your care, with your service in most wonderful and amazing ways, which then help you to come closer to him and to actually develop more and more affection and devotion for him. So, and then, yeah, and actually I have to explain this, like one of the most wonderful ways how we worship the divine form is with flowers. He loves flowers, especially fragrant flowers. So we make different garlands and just offer flowers, like any kind of beautiful fragrant flowers. This is very, very pleasing to him. And he's very happy when we do this. So then the last activity is actually to reside in a sacred place. So there are some sacred places on this planet, especially as far as practice of Bhakti yoga. These places are in India. We have two most commonly visited places, which are Vrindavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham, and Shri Mayapur Dham. And I can say that I've been at both, and presently I'm residing in Shri Mayapur Dham. And it is very, very conducive to reside in such a sacred place, because all the activities of Bhakti Yoga are just so much supported in this very, very spiritually surcharged environment. So it is much easier to meditate, to concentrate, to worship, to just do all these activities. And one gets even much, much greater benefit and result from performing these activities in a sacred place. Okay, so this was in short the description of the 5 most potent activities which form the practice of Bhakti Yoga. And now I would also like to describe shortly what is the daily practice or daily sadhana. Sadhana is a word in Sanskrit which actually explains, which actually means the practice, the regular practice, and also the regulative practice, because sadhana actually means that there are some rules, there are some things that you need to do, you have to do, and there are some things that you should not do. So I will just explain and describe the most basic, simple daily practice, which is the early morning program. There is also actually one video on our YouTube channel which explains in greatest detail this early morning practice, and you can find it and watch it. Here now I will just explain it briefly. So we rise in the early morning before sunrise. This is extremely important for every sincere spiritual practitioner, because at that time the atmosphere is charged with the mode of goodness. This is the material energy, the mode of material energy, which is conducive for spiritual activities. At this time, all kinds of meditation, contemplation, prayer, study of sacred texts are really enhanced. So everything is just like flowing in such a wonderful way, and you can go so much deeper with your consciousness into these activities and absorb your mind and intelligence and consciousness into these activities and achieve much, much greater result than if you do it at any other time of the day. So it is most important and recommended that you rise before sunrise. We actually rise by 4 o'clock, which is very early. So you may not be able to do this immediately, but you can try, you know, whatever you can before sunrise, and then maybe gradually you can go and increase, so getting up earlier. So then the first thing that we do is, of course, after taking care of purifying our material body, which means brushing the teeth and combing the hair and taking a shower, early morning shower is extremely important, because we need to wash away all these, you know, all the impurities that come on the skin throughout the whole night. We have been lying, you know, all night. And also refreshes the mind. Early morning shower, especially if it is cool shower, cold shower, or at least lukewarm shower, also cleanses the subtle body, cleanses your mind, your consciousness. And it's very, very beneficial for your well-being, for your happiness, and for your spiritual advancement. So after you have done all this, then it's the time for meditation. We meditate on personal meditation on the Hare Krishna mantra. And then also we have a portion of an early morning program, which is called Mangala Arati. Mangala means auspicious, and Arati is actually a kind of worship of the deity. And part of this worship of the deity is reciting or actually singing beautiful songs, which are actually prayers. They are prayers for the blessings of the spiritual teacher, the guru, and also for blessings of other very powerful spiritual personality like Tulsi Devi. And of course, we also sing a song and a prayer to Lord Nrsingadev, which is a form of the Lord, the divine form of the Lord, which came especially for the protection of everyone who is performing bhakti, who is practicing bhakti. So we sing all these prayers with very beautiful melodies. And then, of course, after that, then it's the rest of the meditation, because for a serious practitioner of Bhakti Yoga, the meditation takes about 2 hours in the morning. But of course, you don't have to do it so much. You can just do a little bit. You can just do 15 minutes or half an hour, whatever you can do to start. And then the early morning program ends with the reading and discussing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is a sacred book which is essential for our spiritual practice, because it just gives so much spiritual knowledge, and it is full of beautiful stories which actually describe this knowledge in action, describe actually different real personalities who have imbibed all these spiritual qualities and all this spiritual knowledge, and actually show with their personal example how to live spiritually, how to live a spiritual life, or also what to avoid on the spiritual path, because we also have some scandalous stories in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the morning program, and the morning program then ends with something really delicious, and this is breakfast. And for breakfast, we take spiritual food, or you can say spiritualized food, or karma-free food. This is food which has been offered to the form of the Lord, which can be either in the form of the deity or also in the picture. And we offer it to him for him to enjoy. And he can actually, the Supreme Lord is, he has mystical potencies. So he can also eat with his eyes. So he accepts the offering. Of course, he leaves. The food does not disappear. He only accepts it on the subtle form, on the subtle level. But on the gross level, you know, all the delicious fruits and vegetables and grains, and all the delicious preparations that we prepare for him, they are still there. And they are called prasadam. And prasadam means mercy. And when we take this food nourishes not only our body, but also our subtle body and also our soul, which means us, the real self. This is food that gives real satisfaction. And not only this is food that destroys the karma. There are so many people, you know, so tortured so much by their karma. They don't know how to get rid of karma. If you eat this spiritual food, your karma gets destroyed. And not only that, not just this spiritual food, but when you practice any kind of practice in bhakti yoga, your karma gets destroyed. This is the potency of the activities in bhakti yoga. So, and then after that, everybody goes about their duties. We have different duties, material duties, and we just do whatever we need to do. But there is one thing that there is an art of living in this world and acting in this world with the consciousness of connecting every single activity with the divine source, with this divine person, with Krishna. This is a great art, and it takes some time for us to learn this. And for this, we need a spiritual teacher who can teach us. So we go about our day, performing our activities in such a way that they are all connected with the Supreme Person. And then in the evening, again, it is highly recommended for every spiritual practitioner to again have like a little, can be longer or shorter, evening program. And in this evening program, again, it is very auspicious to either read something, to have a little kirtana, which means like a little chanting. Especially it's nice to have like some other practitioners and chant in a group, even 5-10 minutes. It is very, very wonderful, especially if you live with a family. If you can enthuse and encourage your family members, then you can all sit down together and you can sing and chant together the Hare Krishna mantra and some other beautiful spiritual song or prayer. And then after that, you read and discuss Bhagavad Gita or maybe the Krishna book, which is full of beautiful, beautiful spiritual stories. And then at the end, you take some little bit of prasadam, or this spiritual food, or some people also say blessed food. And then when you go to sleep, you fall asleep and you dream about these wonderful spiritual topics. And when you wake up next morning, you're ready early in the morning to start your day again with the spiritual sound, with the spiritual activities. So this is how a day in a life of a bhakti yogi looks like. So I will stop here and let me see if, do we have any question? If there is anybody who maybe has a question, then please write it. Okay, we have some comment. Oh, okay. Yanko, welcome. If you're still here with us, you left a comment here. If you have any question, if you have any comment, please don't feel shy. Just write it down. If you would like to know something more about the Bhakti Yoga practice and the daily sadhana, then you can also write it down. So I'm waiting. I'll wait just like maybe like a minute to give you some time to write it down. And during this time, I will just make a little overview of what I just spoke. In this video, I explained the 5 most potent spiritual practices of Bhakti Yoga, and each of them has the power to awaken the Bhava, which is actually the spiritual emotion, spiritual feeling within your heart, if you practice it in a proper way. And so these activities are Shravanam, or listening to the spiritual sound of the mantra and sacred literature. Then is Kirtanam, or chanting or singing the mantra and the sacred literature and discussing about it. Then it's associating with other Bhakti yogis. Then it's worshipping the divine form of the Lord. And then it's also residing in a holy place or Dhamma, where all these spiritual activities are enhanced in their potency. And then I also described very shortly how does a day in the life of a Bhakti Yoga practitioner look like regarding his daily sadhana practice. Okay, so I will stop now. And if you have any more questions, okay, I see there are 4 people here, but no questions. Okay, no questions for now. If you have any questions later, you can still write in the comments. Let me see, maybe somebody wrote, I just didn't see. I refreshed it, but yeah, I still don't see any question. So if you get any question later, you can write it down and I will definitely answer it. And you can also write if you have some other requests of what do you want to hear about Bhakti Yoga. So thank you very much for your participation. Oop, where am I now? Okay. For your participation. And I will end here.